Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible, sir?
As well as your slides are visible, sir. Thank you.
Am I visible also? Am I visible and audible, sir?
You can go ahead, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Good morning to senior officers and colleagues from the other states. So I will be splitting my topic in two parts. That is, one is the current situation prevailing in the Telangana forest, and also the roadmap for the future requirements. So I will start my slides presentation. So this is the map showing the Telangana, and this is the northern portion of Telangana where we are having the natural teak-bearing forest. And the southern portion, and this is the bordering the river Godavari. On both the sides of the river Godavari, we have got natural teak forest. But the southern portion, the principal species Hardwickia pinnata, we are devoid of teak in these areas. Means teak is there, but it is secondary. So the location part, so there's nothing to discuss about this. We have got this tropical climate, and then the whole region of Telangana is divided into 3 agroclimatic zones. So these are North Telangana zone, which includes Adilabad, Komram Bhim, Asfabad, Mancherial, Peddapalli, Jagtial, Nirmal, Rajanna, Sircilla, Kamareddy, Karimnagar districts. These are on the either side of the river Godavari. So these are natural teak-bearing areas where the rainfall is 950 to 1150 and temperature ranges from 15 degrees to 40 degrees Celsius. And they are having red soils, predominant includes chalks. So these are areas which are having natural teak forest. Now the central region. This is also partially we have got teak in this area also. And in some of the districts we are divided of teak. Means teak is in secondary. Then southern Telangana region. Southern Telangana region, we have got this area which is having a temperature 20 to 38 degrees Celsius and rainfall is less. This is rain shadow area, 560 to 800 millimeter. And this area is having very, very less teak, almost divide of teak. So district-wise, erstwhile districts, we have got this, and the district-wise status of forest is like this, the area-wise. Then types of forest, we have got this type of forest, about 13 types of forest. And then the status of natural teak forest. If we are talking about the teak for the future, and then what is the stocking of natural teak in the natural teak forest? That is in the northern part of Telangana. So if we see the growing stock, which was as per the FS, Forest Survey of India recent reports, the total growing stock of Telangana is coming to 80.20 million cubic meter. That is inside the forest. And outside is 43.76 million cubic meter. Whereas the ground stock per unit area, if we see, then it is coming to 28.97 cubic meter per hectare. And outside, 5.32 cubic meter per hectare. So if we compare this growing stock per unit area with the adjacent states, that is Maharashtra, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, AP, it is very, very low as compared to all the surrounding states. So what are the factors contributing to this dwindling of our forest in Telangana? Because so many factors such as heavy barometric pressure, then rise of left-wing extremists was in 1890s. So we almost lost control over the forest. Inside the forest, people were just, villagers were taking over. So a lot of destruction and degradation took place during those periods. The topography of the teak-bearing areas which we have got in Telangana, that is mostly plain area. So it is very approachable, accessible by the human beings. And then overgrazing, then runoff of the topsoil, industrial urbanization, industrial urbanization, what I mean to say here is, those all the teak bearing forests in our state, they are also having coal bearing area. And due to coal bearing, Singareni collieries are also there. Their colonies have come up. And due to that, the total pressure of their furnitures and requirement of other timber that is made from the forest illegally, although it is illegally totally, then unsatisfactory natural regeneration. Over the years, what we have found is the natural regeneration in the forest is very much lacking, and means it is not able to come up, because over the years, due to repeated hackings, the age of the shoots or age of the stumps, root stock has increased so much that the vigor in those copy shoots are not so much so as to have a future teak stand, we can say. Then occurrence of repeated fires. So what is the strategy for augmenting of teak? Now we have got, I can divide into two-pronged strategy inside the reserve forest and outside the reserve forest. Now, what we are doing is we are protecting the valuable teak forest by providing the digging of large size trench inside the on the periphery of the reserve forest, and also planting with sigil pinia bamboo on the bunds. These are large size bunds, means 2 meter top width, 2 meter depth, and 1.5 meter bottom width. So this is mainly for the protection of all the teak forest bearing area, and in general we are doing for all reserve forest. Now, depending on the canopy density of the reserve forest, we are treating these areas. Now, 0.4 density to 1, that is 100%. The only it requires is protection and SMC works we are doing in the forest. And then 0.1 to 0.4, we have got enough root stocks which can be assisted. That may be ranging from 800 root stocks to 1200 or 1500 root stocks per hectare. And in those, we are just assisting it to come up and rejuvenate the forest again. Now, there are certain open areas that is density from 0 to 0.1, that we do artificial regeneration, and that we are doing with mainly miscellaneous species, local miscellaneous species. So ANR, assisted natural regeneration, canopy density 0.1 to 4. And then what are the operations we are doing? That is removal of obnoxious bits, copsing, shingling, and gap planting, and then SMC bursts. So on the bunds, we are, which is peripheral bunds, 1750 plants, which includes Sigilpenia banduk also. Then we are going for artificial regeneration in a canopy density from 0 to 0.1. And also we are taking up old eucalyptus plantations, which were of seed origin in nature, and also the clonal plantations, which we are following the rotation period as per the prescription in the working plan. So methods adopted may be labor intensive or clearing the area and clearing the area, burning, pitting, and planting with the SMC works. And in semi-mechanical method, because this area we are treating planting in with two types. One is labor intensive, one is semi-mechanical. In semi-mechanical, we are clearing the area, burning, plowing, pitting, planting, and SMC works we are doing. Now, these are the teak plantations which have been raised in the Telangana since first financial year plan. That is first plan. So 1950-56 to up till now. Then recent plantations which we have observed, recent teak plantation which we have observed, is means they are lacking in the performance which is desired for a plantation to perform. So what may be the reasons for the teak plantation not to come up? Because we have done some teak plantation in recent times also, and they are, I am afraid, they are not performing very well. So maybe the reasons that runoff of the topsoil has taken place, resulting in the deficiency of the nutrients, heavy grazing pressure, then compactness of soil over the years, repeated fires, then erratic rainfall. We have seen rainfall pattern also quite erratic in our country and even in Telangana. Even rainfall, what it used to be earlier, Now it has reduced also. So lesser rainfall. And then poorer quality of the planting material. So it is combination of all these factors that the performance of teak plantations is being reduced. Then if we have done supply and demand study in 2013 in erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, and we could see the total demand of Andhra Pradesh, the then Andhra Pradesh in 2013 was about 4,73,892 cubic meter, and the supply was only 1,71,998 cubic meters. So there was shortfall of 64%. So even today, after the formation of Telangana, I think the scenario is not different than this. And also we are trying to tie up with IWST Bangalore for again a study of wood balance study, and then we'll come up with that. What is the requirement and what is the demand and what is the supply now? Now, what is the strategy for the future? So if we have, we cannot bank on the natural forest for getting teak, and to meet the to bridge the gap between the demand and supply. So we need to have captive planting. That means to start with, we can start in a smaller area in each circle which is having natural teak bearing area, and these captive planting, if it, after success, that can be also replicated elsewhere in the teak bearing forest and as well as outside the teak forest area. So how to go about it? Now, taking up plantation in small pockets in the natural teak bearing area, these plantations should be with improved techniques and improved planting material, because total combination of the techniques and the planting material and also site preparation, all these things are responsible for a success of the teak plantation. So amendment of soil nutrient to suit the requirement of the teak plantation, uprootal of, and then after this thing, how to do the amendment means uprootal of stumps, tilling and deep plowing of the area. It means that the soil which has got compacted, and to increase the porosity of the soil, we must need the uprootal of the stumps which is already existing, and tilling to a depth of 45 centimeter or so, and then again deep plowing with FMB plow. Then after that, planting with teak stumps we can have, and teak stumps can be obtained from means improved variety of seedlings. Then bag plants, then bag from tissue culture obtained from suitable clones, and suitable clonal planting also we can do. Scientific post planting, then we have to do the scientific post planting silvicultural operations, and total protection. If we have to have this captive planting, and total protection has to be provided, so we can go with fencing, with barbed wire or with chain link fence. So this will be only for a smaller to start with, to show that we can do it. Now, outside the reserve forest, as we all know, that we are having this Haritaram program in Telangana, that is a flagship program of Telangana. And the total target for the plantation was 230 crores. Outside the forest area, 130 crores, which included 10 crores of HMDA and GHMC areas, and 120 crores in the villages, that is rural areas, and 100 crores by the forest department. In that 100 crores, we are planting 20 crores through plantation and 80 crores through means ANR, assisted natural regeneration. Recently, I must tell at this point to the August gathering that recently we had amendment in the Panchayati Raj Act, in which the 10% of all the developmental funds in the Panchayat is for the greening, and we are having a green fund now, and all the stakeholders of the society are paying for this. Even the All India Services people also, 100 rupees per month we are paying for this. So this is a Harita Nidhi fund which will be having for taking up all the greenery activity anywhere in the state. So now we have actually the earlier what we see in Telangana, means moisture percentage was very less, low rainfall, erratic rainfall. Now we have got a lot of irrigation projects coming up. So the water regime of the state will increase immediately. Now, means in a few years it will be quite, means most of the area will be saturated with water. We have got Kaleshwaram irrigation project. Palmuru Rangareddy project, and Sriram project. So Sitaram project. In this, by this, almost total estate will be covered with irrigation, and for taking up the captive plantation, even by the state means forest department or by the people in general, that will be quite useful, and means they can go for all this. Now, traditional teak plantation, if we see what we were doing earlier, how it was performing. So, in that, what we were doing is there was a teak conservation conversion working circle as per the working plan prescription. As per that prescription, traditional teak planting were being taken up in those areas. So, in that, clear felling, burning, and planting root shoot stumps in crowbar holes. This was the traditional method, within a spacing of 2 into 2 meters just after the first monsoon rain in the month of June. Now, initial stocking was kept at 2,500 plants. Then subsequently, thinning also was there. That was 7th year, 14th year, 22nd year, and 32nd year. The reduction in the number of stems ranges from 2,500 to 200 as given here. So, in 7th year and 14th year, we used to do the mechanical thinning, and 22nd year and 32nd year, we were doing silvicultural thinning. And the rotation period was kept at 50 to 60 years. Now, plantations in undivided AP were raised in site quality of 2/3 and also 3 site quality. Dry deciduous and moist deciduous forests were there. Average rainfall in those areas 1,000 to 1,200 millimeter. Maximum temperature 35 to 40 degrees Celsius. Now, average productivity of teak plantation harvested from 1990 to 2005 was coming to 1.2 to 1.4 cubic meter per hectare per year. So this was scenario. Now, national average, if we compare with the national average, it is about 2.54 cubic meter per hectare per year. So analysis indicates the decline in the productivity by the earlier techniques which we are following. So how to come out of that and how to go for the future? So reasons for this low productivity were not single. It was a combination of all these factors. That is poor quality of planting stock raised from genetically inferior seeds, low organic content of the soil site, poor subsoil moisture, repeated fires, heavy grazing, enormous soil and water erosion, compactness and impoverishment of soil, the initial competition with gregarious weeds like lantana and mavira in these areas, then attack by teak defoliators also, and untimely thinning. So these were the factors contributing to the low productivity. Now, how to raise the high productive teak plantation, that is in the captive area which we are talking about. So we must have matching site selection for the teak to come up, and then site preparation of that area. Then teak, what is the requirement of teak? Teak needs deep, well-drained, fertile soils with an optimum pH that may be neutral, that is 6.5 to 7.5 neutral to slightly alkaline. Then soils can be ameliorated with appropriate cultural practices to improve the tree growth. And then with good monsoon and efficient management of the rain and groundwater, the vast area of the degraded forest land can be profitably put to use under teak plantation. Then, sorry. To make the hard soil of degraded forest porous, the soil needs to be tilled and deep plowed, because over the years, this area has become totally very hard and compact due to heavy grazing and lot of movement. So, and humus content has been removed by runoff, so the soil has become totally hard. And so to make it porous, soil need to be tilled and deep plowed. Then sun hemp, because the nutrient content and the soil texture and soil composition also has taken a beating. So we must do the sun hemp seeds may be broadcasted and cut by before they are flowering, and they have to be plowed into the soil. The process will enhance the nitrogen content, and then we can digging up it by 45 centimeter cube, and then we can do over planting in those areas. So quality of the planting stock. Again, the productivity of the teak will depend on the genetic and physiographic quality of the planting material. The planting propagules may be either genetically improved seedling or tissue culture origin of the genetically improved clones. Seeds from the seedling seed or the clonal seed orchard can be sown in the primary beds, and they have to be cut intensively to bring it down to 30 to 50%, which is physiologically dominant seedlings, and that may be utilized for production of root shoot stumps. And these stumps should be put in the containers to have stump sprouted seedlings. Now, the root trainer planting stock of the genetically improved seed have a better survival. If we put in the root trainers, that will have a better survival and better growth rate in the initial stages as compared to the normal teak stumps. So other alternative is the deployment of high-yielding clones. So earlier there was a research in which we have identified 5 top-ranking clones in our state, and they are also means planted here to Hyderabad also. So we can utilize these clones in those suitable areas from where the clones have originated in earlier. So these clones can be mass propagated by tissue culture or rooting of juvenile cuttings of the eucalyptus, just like eucalyptus clonal propagation which we are doing in the field. Actually, we were having earlier this tissue culture lab at Ashwai Andhra Pradesh, Tirupati, and also in Muluk, Hyderabad. But they are in dormant stage. We need to rejuvenate them and start with once again. So now the site, in the site, we have to get this nutrient management also, because we can see the sites for the where we are planting the tea, they are totally almost devoid of the nutrients. So that's why
अशोक
if
थोड़ा
us
डिटेल में मत जाओ, ज्यादा
Yeah.
टाइम लग रहा है, तो थोड़ा
Yes,
सा
sir.
ओवरव्यू देते हुए निकल जाओगे तो हो जाएगा पूरा जल्दी.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So this nutrient management, how to, I will give the write-up also, sir. So how to improve the nutrient in the soil, and then we can means how application of this is we have to find we have found the application of 163 kg urea, 375 kg of masuri phosphate, 105 kg of muriate of potash, 105 kg of quicklime, and 373 kg of magnesium sulfate per hectare is recommended for young plantations, and that can be in 2 splits in the first year and 4 splits in the second and third year. And such applications generally aim at ameliorating the soil condition, because in the initial stage only not the nutrient is required. Nutrient will be required for the rest of the rotation period also. That so we have to keep this. If we have to have good performance in the captive teak plantations. Now we can have nitrogen fixing trees also in between the rows of the teak plantation, that is Lucina, which will stimulate the growth of the teak and also improve the soil in the nitrogen content. So like this, sir, we can improve that. Now irrigation. After planting, we have to have the irrigation system, that is drip irrigation system, and also with fortification we have to be there, and then or we have to have this extensive water harvesting structures to retain the soil and moisture. Then cultural operation. After planting, we must have cultural operation, that is initial intensive soil working, elimination of weeds at the earlier stages involves establishment of stacking in the plants, and then pruning and thinning, followed by pruning and thinning. So pruning, we have to take first pruning. They are recommended for.
और जल्दी कंक्लूड कर दो, बहुत ज्यादा टाइम हो गया.
ठीक है सर, कर रहे हैं.
ठीक है, ये सब ओवरव्यू खाली दिखाते जाओ स्लाइड.
I'll just go through that, sir.
थिनिंग ये सब. हाँ,
Sir. Then thinning regime is there. Then plant protection, and then probable yield I will just explain. So assuming an average of 5 cubic meter per hectare per year in 20-year rotation, production would be 100 cubic meter in a hectare with a stocking of 200 stems per hectare. In other words, 0.5 meter cube per tree is probable yield in 20 years. If we follow all these prescriptions which I was mentioning, then we can probably achieve this type of productivity. And the price of teak logs improves substantially in the market. Now, average current price in Telangana, I can say, this is 1 lakh per cubic meter. It is 1 lakh per cubic meter. And with conservative estimate, if we double the current price, then expected market price will be 2 lakh per hectare after the end of the 20 years. And then we can get 2 crore rupees per hectare at the end of 20 years. So this is quite lucrative for the farmers also. And so by taking up this type of plantation, we can bridge the gap between the demand and supply after 20 years. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ashok Kumar Sinha, for your inputs on states and perspectives on status and perspectives of augmenting teak in Telangana. May I now request Dr. Kurvila Thomas, PCCF Director, State Forest Research Institute, Uttar Pradesh Forest Department, to share with us perspectives and status of UP Forest Department in augmenting